Hey everyone, Janessa here from the blog almostheavenhomesteading.com, and today I want to show you all 3 items that I make every single week here in my kitchen. If you've set a goal for 2024 to start cooking from scratch a little bit more, or to just stay on top of meal planning, I think these 3 items are really going to help you out. So a couple of these items I've already covered on this channel here: sourdough bread, sourdough tortillas, but I want to add in a third one today, and that is granola. I love keeping these 3 items in my pantry at all times so that I have them to use whenever I need them. So let's jump into these, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I think meal planning is important and how these items can really help you out. So I'll go ahead and start off today with the granola, since I've never shared that before on the channel. And I like to just combine equal parts rolled oats and sliced almonds, as well as some seeds. I usually do a mix of sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds. You can honestly do whatever you like here though. If you like pecans or walnuts, that would be fine. Or if you like some other seeds like chia seeds or hemp seeds, those would be wonderful in this as well. And then I'm just going to scoop in about 2 heaping tablespoons of almond butter. And for reference, I had about 2.5 cups of those oats and nuts and seeds here. And then I'm gonna drizzle in some honey. You can do this to taste. I kind of just drizzle some on there, probably about a tablespoon that I put in there. And then we're just going to mix this up with just a little bit of water in order to combine it. Now, you can certainly put more additions in this if you want some cinnamon, maybe some nutmeg or cloves or something like that. You could do maple syrup instead of honey. You could totally tailor this to whatever you have and whatever you like. But once we have all of that in a bowl, we're just going to mix that all together. If you like for the almonds to be a little bit smaller pieces, you can kind of mash a little bit with your fork, and that'll just break that up a little more. But the goal is just to get this mixed really well, and then we're going to line a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and we're just going to place this in the oven for about 10 to 13 minutes at 350 degrees. Now after the 10 minutes, you want to watch it very closely because it can burn easily. It doesn't need to be crispy yet by the time you take it out. It will crisp up as it sits on the tray for a couple more minutes once it's out of the oven. One of the reasons why I included this granola in the video today was because this is so versatile and I love having this on hand. Of course, I can top yogurt with it or oatmeal, but it actually works as well as a great cereal if you just want to put a splash of milk on it. So very, very versatile and so wonderful to have on hand. That's baking in the oven. Once it's done, we'll get it into a mason jar for storage, but while that's taking place, I'm just going to go ahead and get started on some sourdough tortillas. Now I have shared these on here before, and you can definitely jump on over to the blog to get the full recipe, but they're so easy to make. All you do is combine your flours, add in your water, sourdough discard, honey, salt, and olive oil, and just mix that in a stand mixer and let it ferment for about 6 to 8 hours. We're just going to be rolling it out and frying them in a really hot skillet, and that's all there is to this. This is a really simple sourdough discard recipe. While those were mixing, my granola finished toasting in the oven. You can see it's just nice and toasted here. It's going to continue to get a little bit crunchier as it sets, and even once it's in the jar, so it does not need to be all the way crunchy before you take it out of the oven. I just like to store this in an airtight container and just keep it on my shelf for handy use whenever I want to top some yogurt or some oatmeal, or even have a quick little cereal out of it. So let's go back to those tortillas. They are all mixed up, so I'm just going to grease a bowl and get those placed in there. And I wanted to include these today just to give you some ideas of what you can do with these tortillas. Of course, there's the obvious tacos, chicken fajitas, anything like that, but they go so far beyond that, and that's why I just love having these on hand. I can make up a batch of these, which is 16 wraps, and very easily have a pizza crust on hand that I could put a little bit of sliced tomatoes, some mozzarella, and some other toppings on, and have a quick and easy pizza. I can toast this a little bit further in the oven and have some delicious crackers that you can use for dipping hummus or whatever dip that you like. These are perfect for rolling up a breakfast burrito or making a quick chicken or veggie wrap for lunch. We use these for lunch so often, and they just come in so handy. They are perfect for making some cheese quesadillas, or even using as a pita bread with maybe a Greek-inspired meal, dipping it in some tzatziki sauce. Possibilities are so endless, and when I have these on hand, it just makes everything so much easier. Same thing with the bread that I'm mixing up here. I have showed this on here before. This is just my regular artisan loaves, but it's another staple that I love making every week, and if not every week, definitely at least every other week, just to make sure that I have it on hand. Again, so many possibilities with just a regular loaf of bread. I think a lot of times people think when they are trying to get into making their own bread from scratch that they're cooking or baking bread every single day. Now, for us, that's not the case. Maybe if we had a larger family, I could see that, but I make up this bread and these wraps, and we're basically set for the week. And even with a larger family, I don't think it would have to be daunting. This could easily be doubled and turn this into 4 loaves instead of 2 like I do. And then you've got 4 loaves of bread for the week that your family can eat on. Same thing with the tortillas. You could double it or 1.5 it if you need a little bit more. And they can really go a long way to making meals a little bit easier when it comes time to putting something together. This bread is also really simple to make. It's a no-knead recipe. All you do is combine your flours and water, let that set for about 20 minutes, add in your active starter and salt, and just combine it really well with your hands, and then just some stretch and folds. I get about 5 or 6 in every 20 minutes, and then it is good to set until it doubles, and then it is just shaped, put into some bannetons in the fridge until it's ready to bake in the Dutch oven. And honestly, I have let this set in the fridge for quite a while before baking it, and it turns out perfectly. My actual recipe on the blog actually calls for this to set for at least 8 hours, and that at least is really the key phrase, because I have let this set for up to 3 days in the fridge before baking, and it's perfectly fine. So if you are wanting fresh bread for a meal one night, but you don't want to remake those loaves, just let it set in the fridge until you're ready to bake it, and you can have that fresh bread with that piping hot soup that maybe you're planning. But just like those sourdough tortillas, this bread goes far beyond just sliced bread and butter when it comes to convenience in the kitchen and planning meals. I have used this obviously for sandwiches, toast. It makes, again, a great base for a pizza if you slice it and put some tomatoes on it, a little bit of basil and cheese, and just toast that up in the oven. It's delicious. You can slice this into some cubes, drizzle with some olive oil and some seasoning, and toast that up, and you've got some delicious breadcrumbs for a salad. Even if I have some that's getting kind of old that needs used up, I grind it up in a food processor and season it, and it makes perfect breadcrumbs for combining a meatloaf or topping some baked mac and cheese. The possibilities are really endless when you keep this on hand and maybe think outside the box a little bit. Like for instance, maybe you're wanting to make meatballs for dinner, but you realize you don't have any breadcrumbs, but you do have some of this on hand. Grind it up, make your own breadcrumbs. It's so simple, and when you have it on hand, you can do that. And so those are really my top 3 things that I am making every single week, just to make sure that I have something on hand if life gets a little crazy and maybe I had absolutely nothing planned for lunch. I can take one of these tortillas, even just throw some cheese in it in a skillet and make a quick cheese quesadilla. I can take some of this bread and throw some of those sliced tomatoes on it with a little more cheese and maybe some pepperoni or bacon or something, and we've got a quick and easy pizza. So really just having things on hand, being able to think outside the box is really key to staying on top of things like this, and really key to cooking from scratch and it not being daunting. You know, maybe you're wanting to get started with making bread fresh, but making your own tortilla shells sounds so crazy. Well, it doesn't have to be every single day that you are in the kitchen making these things. Like I said, make up a batch of these and you have them on hand for whenever you need them. Well, I really hope that this video gave you some ideas on meal prepping and meal planning, and just making cooking from scratch being a little less daunting. I know this was a little bit different of a video than what you are used to seeing from us, but I really hope that you found it helpful, and maybe it will just be that push that you need to get started making some more things from scratch in your own kitchen. And you know, this does not have to wait until you have a sourdough starter. If you don't have one, don't let that discourage you. Find a yeast bread recipe or tortilla recipe that doesn't call for sourdough discard, and just start there. If you are interested in getting into sourdough, certainly jump on over to the blog and you can find out how to create your own sourdough starter from scratch, but you don't have to wait until you have one of those to get started with this. Well, once again, I hope you all found this helpful and useful, and I hope to be seeing you all around our homestead regularly, and we would love it if you would subscribe to our channel and give this video a like and a comment if you enjoyed it. Alright friends, have a great weekend. I'll see you later.